How's it going, guys, and welcome back to yet another video. My name is Gamer, and today I wanted to make another update video. I haven't done this in quite some time, and I thought that it would be a great time to do this now since a lot of things have changed as of recent. And for the most part, the things that really changed for me is that I started school and I finally have a job, which is really awesome. I just started working around last week. I believe it was like my last day of summer. I started working on my new job. It's essentially like an office supply job, and again, it's retail, so you already know how that goes, but it's pretty nice. You know, I got paid now from like $8.25 plus like commission at the previous job to by the way, keep in mind this is after like 3 years. I barely get a little raise to what's now a starting pay of like $9 an hour at the new job. And it's really awesome, pretty excited. And I finally also got to start my actual training, like actually working at the register and doing like many different things in the store, which is awesome because before then I was just doing only online learning. And don't get me wrong, the online learning service that they have is good. It's just that the issue comes with how there's just so much loads of information that's just going to go through, and more than likely you're not going to remember any of it. You'll be lucky to even remember half of it, and it's only just because like there's just so much information that goes into, you know, these sort of online training videos that for me personally, I usually learn things when I'm doing them. So for me, there was like a lot of information about like the registers, and I was just like, oh, you know, yeah, I kind of understand it, but you really don't. So once I actually started doing it like for real and having my manager just kind of shadow around me and just like be like, okay, this is what you need to improve. Oh, you could just do this, you could do that. And if I have an issue, I'll ask them questions and they'll just guide me through the whole thing. Pretty much like the thing that is different for the most part, it's just the system. Like many retail jobs, generally the thing that's going to be the most different for you is the system. But when it comes to like the basics of, you know, how you greet a customer and you ask for help, you ask them if they need help with anything, all that sort of jazz, that usually stays the same. That usually never changes. But the system itself is what changes. The way certain things work within the story also changes. So it's just a matter of getting accustomed to it. And so far, I've been doing pretty well. And I'm really glad I'm doing pretty well compared to like the first day. But again, overall, pretty exciting. In terms of school, school just started last week, and I'm actually a little bit nervous because even though it is one class, it is one of the hardest classes for up-and-coming engineers to take. And it's also during online learning, which from my last experience in physics, I barely made it. And the reason for this is because at home, I have like so much distractions that it's just kind of hard for me in order to keep myself like level-headed and keeping myself focused on one specific thing. So what I'm doing this time around is I want to make sure I schedule my things to where I don't necessarily just keep on going of a continuous study, just kind of break it down into like some smaller parts or so. That way I have a decent amount of studying per day, but I also don't fry my brain for just getting extremely bored from a continuous study. Because let's be honest, no one really wants to study for a continuous 4 hours. Eventually you're gonna get tired at some point and you'll need a break. And also what gets me a little scared is how apparently ever since last semester there was apparently like a lot of cheating that was going on, and that caused the school to have some sort of like proctor online service that everyone is mandatory to have, and if you don't want to have it, you basically gotta drop out of the class, which is so BS in my opinion. Because let me explain to you just briefly what it does. So essentially what it does is that this service apparently is able to see what you have in your browsers. It's requiring you to have webcam because there's going to be a proctor just looking at people and looking at their eye movements, making sure they're not looking at their screen or something like that. And personally to me, I feel like that's an invasion of privacy, but that's besides the point. I'm not going to go much in depth on it, and we're just going to have to live with it, I guess. At the end of the day, as long as I can do well for, you know, my prepping for these exams and I do on the exams, I shouldn't really have a problem. Now, speaking of scheduling, in terms of the YouTube videos and the Twitch streams, generally they're gonna be slightly less and they're also not going to be set in stone. The reason why isn't necessarily just because I want to have some time to study and everything, but it's also because with work and knowing retail, your schedule is pretty much never set in stone. It's always changing depending on, like, you know, someone calls in sick, or if somehow the store is doing really well in sales that day, so they might need more people to keep the sales going or make them higher. Or maybe it could be because maybe like someone quit, or, you know, there's just so many factors in terms of how your schedule is made in retail, that one day you'll probably be working on the Friday, and then the next day you're not, but then after the next time you'll pretty much be working Friday every single day, and then you'll have like that one day where you don't work on the Friday. It's weird, but pretty much in summary, retail generally in terms of scheduling for a lot of places is never set in stone. So that's usually why I won't be having any sort of schedule streams like I did during the summer, where it was like Thursday and a weekend day, either Saturday or Sunday. And it's not going to be like that, at least this time around. It's going to more likely be at a random time whenever I feel like I want to stream and whenever I do have the time to stream. So in my opinion, the best thing for you guys to do is, if you want to stay up to date for the live streams and stuff, make sure to follow me on Twitter. Not only is it like my personal Twitter, so I interact with you guys a lot, but it's also the best way to stay informed about certain changes, and also when I'm going to live stream, which is probably the most important thing to you guys. In terms of like the YouTube content, you're still going to be getting YouTube content. I at the very least want to upload at least 2 videos a week, at the very least. You know, sometimes I might do more, sometimes I might do less, but more than likely I need to have like a set day in order to do lots of recording and everything. But overall, in terms of like the YouTube content, I also wanted to discuss as to, like, you know, for the summer, because I just really want to give a huge shout out to Mega Mikey. It's just crazy. I'm really going to be rambling a lot in this video, because the thing is whenever I started, you know, wanting to do WizTubing and everything, one of my biggest influences was definitely Mega Mikey, and he was the reason why I wanted to start doing content for the channel in the first place. And before I knew about Sauce, I already, you know, automatically knew about Mikey, and it was really crazy when a couple weeks ago, I think it's like already like a month ago, I remember being asked, you know, oh hey, like, would you like to do like some sort of like collaboration together? And before then, it was just him asking for advice on like myth PvP and stuff. And unfortunately, as much as I really wanted to help him, I haven't necessarily been doing much PvP, so I couldn't necessarily give him like the best of the best advice. And regardless though, I offered him, you know, how to get your stats to the way you want them to be, depending if you want to be offensive or defensive. And, you know, if possible, I can hook him up with pets and everything. And it's just insane, because afterwards, I get talked about, you know, doing a collab, and it was amazing, because I never thought that not only would I get closer to one of my most favorite, and also the person who got me into doing WizTubing, you know, from the content creating perspective, but I also got to do a collab with him, and it's pretty insane. Definitely was the big reason why the channel grew so much so fast, and honestly, thank you. You know, it's amazing, and I never thought I would be this blessed, honestly. At the end of the day, like, I just never really expected to be this blessed, and I just really want to thank him, and I want to thank you guys for supporting me throughout this way. We're currently at like 942 subscribers. That means we're like, I believe, around 58 left in terms of reaching to the 1,000, and I really want to get to the 1,000 before the end of the year. If that's not what happens, then that's fine. There's always a chance of doing it next year and everything, but if possible, I really do want to get to the 1,000 before the end of the year. And it's been insane. I honestly am like lost for words in terms of like this whole thing that happens, and I do want to keep this video short, but I know it's not going to be short because I tend to rant a lot. I'm like the king of ranting, but overall I'm just blessed. Like, I'm really blessed on how the channel is doing, Obviously, I could have been doing like a lot more in terms of like doing the variety content, but you know, the Elgato issues and everything, and hopefully that gets fixed sometime soon. Maybe I might need to get a new laptop anyway, but just feel very blessed that the channel is still growing, the channel is still doing pretty well, and not only that, but I've gotten closer to a lot of people within this community as well. So again, I just want to thank you guys for that as well. But off topic, you know, for that specific moment, I just really wanted to thank people because they're the reason why I'm just really blessed, basically. In terms of like the Pyro 101 streams, some of you might be asking as to like why I don't necessarily do much streams on Pyro 101 anymore, and some of you might be wondering what's next for Pyro 101. Are you still going to be doing, you know, the full team walkthrough? Are you still going to be doing, you know, some other things for Pirate? Are you still going to be editing those walkthrough videos for the YouTube people? And I will be answering all these questions very briefly. Now, for the first thing, the reason why I haven't really been doing much Pyro 101 content is mainly because there really isn't that much to do anymore for me to do in terms of Pirate. Yeah, I could be farming Mumanchu. Yeah, I could try some of the new key bosses, which I will. I will try some of the new key bosses because I haven't done that at all. So I might do that sometime in the future. But the reason why I haven't really been doing it is only just because there really isn't much to do for me to do on stream that will, in my opinion, be entertaining to you guys. I will basically be forcing myself to live stream the game when more than likely I will probably prefer live streaming something different that I can actually show some enthusiasm to. And it's not to say that I don't like Pirate. In fact, I just recently made some brand new characters in order to play the story within my own time. Because for me, I have a way different experience when I live stream a game and when I play the game by myself to just kind of take in everything that I would like to have in terms of the story. And the new character that I'm working on recently is the brother to Esteban, which is Alonzo, Deadeye Alonzo Freeman. And he is also a musketeer. And you might be wondering as to why are you playing the musketeer again? Well, unfortunately, I didn't realize that the VOD for the Marleybone walkthrough was removed. And I wasn't necessarily keeping track of the time. I was trying to save some space on my hard drive and everything, and unfortunately in the process, all the Marleybone walkthrough stuff was removed because of the fact that it's been past like the 30-day, you know, expiration, stuff like that. And unfortunately, that means I'll have to be making videos on the Marleybone stuff, and it's gonna be kind of weird for a lot of you guys, especially for the new people, but if you know, you know. And I don't really mind because I get to actually experience the story of Pirate again, and I'm really having lots of fun experiencing the story. I think it's a fantastic story. I definitely think that this is something that people should be playing if they have the chance, even if it means that it won't be updated. At least give the story a chance. Use that 1-month membership, you know, see how far you can go and just enjoy yourself. You know, take everything in terms of like the combat, in terms of the music, and in terms of the story. In terms of the full team walkthrough, unfortunately, it will no longer be the full team walkthrough. We'll still be doing the pirate story on YouTube, but instead of the quad, it will be a trio. And the trio is going to be me, Monica, and Potato. Ben is pretty much been like extremely busy, you know, doing a lot of things. Some things are very personal and also with work. So unfortunately, he was unable to keep going within the walkthrough, and he just didn't necessarily want us to have him to be the reason that like this whole series tends to slow down, and it's definitely understandable. It's unfortunate that he won't be doing the walkthrough series with us, but at the end of the day, that's what he decided, and we'll respect the decision. And since the three of us still wanted to really keep going with the walkthrough series, it would just be a trio instead of a full team, which again, if you guys were really wanting to see like a full team, I'm very sorry. I know that's like something that's like extremely unique, and I know that's something that a lot of people would really love to see, but in terms of like just finding someone who is also a creator or so and wants to do the full team, it's going to be very difficult since a lot of people don't necessarily want to do pirate because of the fears of it not being updated. The only person I could have think of in terms of doing like a full team walk with for Pirate 101 would have been Sauce, but he's generally like a very busy person, and we're probably going to be oversaturating him with pirate, that we rather just have him enjoy his solo walkthrough, and we'll just eventually decide to do everything as a trio with me, Potato, and Monica. So currently we're in discussion as to when do we want to do the full team walk, and we're trying to work around each other's schedules in order to make sure that things kind of align pretty well. And you'll definitely see some updates on full team walk within Twitter, just like you will when knowing about future videos or future live streams. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is Stitch review, because next week, actually this week, basically next month, which will be tomorrow, there is going to be a celebration of Wizard 101's birthday. I believe it's King's House. I'm not sure which one it was. But in celebration of that birthday, I will be asking for suggestions for Stitches for the upcoming Stitch review video. That's going to be coming maybe like this week, next week, more than likely next week. That way there's time to have some submissions going. And I will be taking submissions through Twitter. So again, another reason why you would want to follow me on Twitter, because I tend to like to do a lot of community things, and Twitter for me is like the easiest way to do it, and it's the most funnest way to do it in my opinion, because everything is a lot more organized that way. And I'm really excited, and hopefully you guys are excited too. And I know I've been rambling for like an extremely long time. This video is going to be extremely long for sure, but overall I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all your support. Hopefully you guys are patient when it comes towards the content, the streams, and hopefully I can definitely deliver in that really high quality content. And pretty much overall, thank you. I'm gonna say that a bajillion times because I just feel like there's never enough thank yous that I can give to you guys that will make it equal to the amount of support you guys give me. But once again, thank you so much, and as always, remember to stay frenzy. Peace!